which is called the Slave Theater in New York. They stopped broadcasting. They stopped from having their weekly meetings or weekly gatherings that they have every Wednesday night. They stopped doing that. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, there was a place called the Good Life. And they built this $55 million church across the street. And all of a sudden, the sister comes down with cancer. So she has to stop her thing so she can go to, go to Africa and all and try to get some healing and stuff like that. And so now that's shut down. So we know that these venues are shut down all over the country, which takes us to the whole Dr. York thing we'll get into. But I guess first of all, I need to give the spirits the juice so we can get this rattle out of the way. And I'll get this rattle out of the way. And like I said, we got a lot of information and all. I'll use, like I said, I've been stopped carrying this much books in the airport. But it's the funniest thing about the airport thing here is the airport's on all lockdown. Like they told them, because I went on a journey to Vegas and LA and all that during Christmas. But it was interesting here because all that's on lockdown, but there's not that many black people that travel, especially on the airports. It's mostly white. So who's really on lockdown? And this is one of the most amazing things here because it started with the airport and it's coming inland to the Homeland Security. So it started with the airport and now it's coming inland and stuff, but who is really on lockdown? And that is, most of the airports are filled full of white folks. So that's very interesting. Let me get like I said, this is El Cristo Negro. We did the three sisters, and a lot of people had a lot of luck with it and stuff, with the three goddesses, Otisha, TH, and Shayola. It caused a debate because all the little old mammy-pammy are conscious people, you know what I'm saying, which is really conscious people are some of the most shut down people in. You know what I'm saying? Puritanical people, they're worse than damn nuns and saints and Christians and all these other shit and all, you know, trying to be so fucking righteous because we took the consciousness and based it off of a Christian perspective. So we don't do nothing. We don't eat this, we don't drink that, we don't do this, we turn from all the vices. And it is the vices that you give away in actuality to get in touch with the inner self. Is the when Awa said, I bid you not to change from your voluptuous ways and all your follies. I did not come to chastise you. That's a whole other thing. We'll get into that also. But so the debate, they was thinking that it was just the alcohol alone, and it was the three sisters, Otisha, TH, and Shayola, that we talked about. We'll be giving out the list, at least 10 of those particular gods, to call on. And so, as a result, now with the three sisters, a lot of healing aspects went on. This is Labadoka Combo El Cristo Negro El Cristo Rey aspect, and that's this. This is consists of Castillo rum and either Windsor Canadian whiskey or R&R, rich and rare. That's the best stuff. That's the best taste. Rich and rare Canadian whiskey and Castillo rum, or either any kind of white rum will do. But the rich and rare Canadian whiskey and it's another form of an elixir also that is also a form of the healing mechanism. As far as altered states of consciousness, because the first time I mixed this and shit, I mean, I was on another planet. So, like I said, most people couldn't understand this and all because we're still into this, I must be obedient and stuff like that and all, you know. When we got a whole bunch of spirits and all up there pimping us and stuff, and we doing most of the work and shit, and they ain't getting no reprieve, ain't getting no slack or nothing. It's a whole bunch of bullshit. So, I want to spit this to the gods and call out that, and so we can get on with what's going down. We got a lot of information and all. I mean, a lot of information and all. So that's cool. So let me do this right quick, and then we can get the ball rolling. We're still coming from we're coming from a lot of Apollo stuff, and which is one of the reasons why I wanted to get this lecture tonight, based on a lot of stuff that's coming out of Cuba now, which is very important. And we just talking about stuff that just started, stuff where it just went to print in all of us. this stuff just started coming out of Cuba and stuff because the walls are coming down and all, and they lifting the sanctions and stuff slowly but surely. But the first thing is freed up is a lot of the information that was held down. So we got new information coming from that part of the Caribbean that was locked down, and so we want to deal with some of that particular information also too. But right now, like I said, we're going to start off by calling off that particular pantheon, and we're going to go on a whole, like I said, a lot of stuff today. As a matter of fact, some stuff was even just revealed a few minutes ago, coming up into this lecture and all, no more than about an hour ago, so the stuff is ongoing. So, with no further ado, let's give them the juice, the entities, to give them the particular juice and all, so you know the drill. All right. I should pour him a drink, but I'll pour me one, so. Yeah, but it's within, so. Anyway, let me get my follow thing out here. All right, Zarabanda, Zarabanda, Zarabanda. El Cristo Negro, Spiritus and Tranquilos, Santísimo Muerte, San Simón, El Cristo Rey, Madre de la Luna, Madre de Agra, Santísima Virgen Ima, Francisco de Figueiredo, Mama Shola, which is very interesting. Hold on to that Mama Shola thing because that has a lot to do with your boy Carlos Santana. And all, there's a whole lot of stuff and all. It was even showed up in the song Maria Maria. Go back and look at that. And we got some information on that particular thing. Some Apollo stuff is going down. Let's see here. Labado, Labado, Lokeo, Kakambo, Oticha, Geja, Sheola, Shuma, Omagumu, Alcala. Let's see here. Luigi, Atama, Orovado, Pakwa, Odugi, Vodugo, Owasta, Amati, Owadege, Oshun, Olaku, Oshose, Yeminya, Oya, Risha Oku, Babaluaye, Nakumpa, Umelinga, Kwazakoto, Kim, Sim, Sam, Milibus, Mintu, Nanu, Nanet, Rary, that's that Shatu, Kim, Heru, After, Hasepi, Heru Baha, Heru Bahutin, Hamaku, Haparas, Amerti, Arorbis, Rahar Hewitt, Hemmitt, Hemmitt, Amin Ra, Amin Ribdensa, Zalis, Tatanin, Upwarit, Nanu, Vishnu, Shiva, Rudra, Dionysus, Prometheus, Lakshmi, Sri Lakshmi, Pravati, Sati, Virtua, Danai, Suras, Netters, Nephilim, Titans. Let's see, what's going on right on. Mithra, Abraxas, Kali, Kalima, Terra, Timma Habadiah. Y'all give me some loud shades, loud shades, get some energy going. It's all good though. Let's see. Going right along. Lilith, Layla, Lilith, Alex, Hemmitt, After, Onsepi, Kunsu, Mintu, Mintu, Melchizedek, Metatron, Metronet, Da, Heather, Shapa, Lionel, Kiprit, Marsan, Ha, Yaseh, Upper Shekinah, Lower Shekinah. Hold on, let's see, okay. Let's see. Sabo, Bay, Lagi, Ogu, Lagi, Adiloku, Loku Osin, Urzuli, Urzuli Frida, Mrs. Urzuli, Urzuli Nova, Urzuli Brain, Es Ishtar, Kayamat, Anana, Areskagu, Akidna, Akingu, Lamu, Lami, Lamu, Abu, La'alu, Reddit, Aphrodite, Cam, Sam, Phyllis, Urzuli Ki, Urzuli Kika, Urzuli Boomba, Urzuli Taruk, Lower Taruk, Lucifer, Bay, Sutan, Shakedown, Sutan, Awa, Owa, Kaiwa, Reddit, Hammond, Congo Nakbar, Congo Sabat, Congo Sapli, Congo Dangi, Hemmitt. Hekati. Heket. Set. Nubit. Nusi. Sumha. Abbott. Tyre. Newt. Put. Ben. Kim Heru. Gargan. Hold on, a few more now. Let's see here. Baron Samadi. Adam Buddy. Papa Gay. Gay Lord of the Needlework. Gay Newell. Gay Ray. Guadi Double. Guadi Pedro. Guadi Rickety. Guadi Razine. Guadi Tiwawa. Okay. Baron Samadi. Okay. Bridget. Brandon LaCroix. Okay, let's see. That'll do for right now. Let's see. Eros. Cupid. Psyche. Harpocross. Bacchus. Lady. Dionysus. Rudra Shiva. Okay, we'll deal with that. Okay, all right. Get that out of the way. I'll give you my take on this whole Dr. York thing. And that is, it's some real high stuff going down when they say he pleaded guilty. Right. Now, my point here is, anybody know if you have any kind of group that both the white world and the black world, and everybody knows that anytime you got a group that basically you can say that that would be a political prisoner. Everything is set up based on political prisoner. So you got that option to take the political prisoner road as denying whatever they got you on lockdown about. You just say, hey, I didn't do it. Most people gonna believe that they got you all hung up in some shit anyway. And most black people said, hey, whatever that brother's doing, they got that brother caught up in some stuff. It's the same old story for the last 50 years. You know what I'm saying? They've been doing this shit since Paul Robeson. He said they've been doing it since Jack Johnson. So everybody knows that it is customary, that even white people know that basically the government is going to have you into some stuff. So it's not out of the ordinary for you to just shut your mouth and become the political prisoner role. You see what I'm saying? You got more leverage with the political prisoner role, even when it comes to appeals. Now anybody know that any good lawyer could beat the bullshit that they say they had him up against? You know what I'm saying? So my point here is, for the mere fact that he has everything going for him, why would he plead guilty? Right. Because pleading guilty basically breaks the movement and destroys the whole shit. It annihilates everything. That's right. Just by pleading guilty, it breaks the entire infrastructure of the entire movement or whatever organization or whatever cult he was about. It breaks all that. It completely wipes things out, and that's what the government is about. Right. You see what I'm saying? My point here is, goddamn, but you already in your mid-50s. You see what I'm saying? So what? You're already in your goddamn mid-50s and shit. I mean, hell, just go to jail. I mean, hell, I mean, my goodness, it's not like you got to make some deal and say 12 years I'll be out and I'll be 30. Right. You understand what I'm trying to say? But it's like John Henry Clark said, most of the people, when they enjoy the fringe benefits of the society and people are giving them things, when the push comes to shove and it's your ass on the line, you're supposed to take the suffering road and go on lockdown. So that's the Trump thing that Haile Selassie did by hauling ass to doggone to Europe and left all the people in Ethiopia that time. You see what I'm saying? And all. So that's that same old pump jump you do. But my point here is you basically leave your followers out on the string. You destroy the morale, the momentum, and the psychological stability of your followers when you go do some dumb shit like that and plead guilty and do this stuff and then cow down and punk out. Right. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. That kind of stuff. And plus my point here is you're supposed to be the God, supreme being, all incarnate. Right. So why in the hell was you doggone plead guilty? Because the people are so messed up and stuff, and even when you call yourself God, they can still irrationally and illogically still believe you God locked up in prison, which is some dumb shit in the first place. That's like the Yahweh ben Yahweh thing, you know. He is the greatest son of God, and he is God incarnate and all, but yet he can't get out of goddamn prison. But I know some niggas from South Carolina can get out of damn prison. And shit, you know, I know white motherfuckers can get out of prison and stuff like that, no, you know. Hell, Tupac got the fuck out of prison by it might have cost him his life, but goddamn, he even signed some papers. Shit. You know what I'm saying? And all, you know. So my point is hell, Suge Knight had enough magic to do some shit like that. He can't keep his own self out of prison. point I'm trying to make here is that is a part of the government program to break the morale, the infrastructure, and the psychological stability of the group. Right. And it's not just that group. Anybody seeing this is seeing a black leader, even if you wasn't a part of that group, you go, what the fuck is going on? We got H-Rap Brown on lockdown. Right. You see what I'm saying? We got this on lockdown. You know what I'm saying? We got colleges dead. You see what I'm saying? And my point here is, so after a while, the people start saying, you know, well, goddamn, maybe we are not the people that we supposed to say we are. Right. And this is a psychological conditioning, and it's always like they said, even in the book, The Black Sun, Peter Moon and them. In the particular book, they say, well, they will mash you down to show the white man still conquest over what they call their enemies. You see what I'm saying? When they took your boy's skull from the grave, Geronimo. You see what I'm saying? So my point here is, we knew that it was some government stuff from the get-go. You see, but my point here is, you know, all of a sudden now, you call yourself Osiris and appear on the cover of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and in color picture and stuff like this, and then all of a sudden they're showing you all on the TV set. You see, that's a psychological thing. First of all, they make you nationally known. BET, black, which should be black, disgrace television. They never even show black leaders outside of the same old mammy-pammy people, but all of a sudden now, when they show him, they only show him in reference to him getting locked up back here in the spring of the year. That's right. You see what I'm saying? But the point here is, the reason why they can even put you out there to be televised is because you're vulnerable, and therefore they're going to use you in the future for some type of destabilization of the mind when it comes to breaking the momentum of the people. You see what I'm saying? Psychologically. So the whole concept here is no different than killing the black man in the movie. You see what I'm saying? Killing the black man in the movie. That's why Jim Kelly, I told you that thing, that was a ritual in 1973, why Jim Kelly had to die in Enter the Dragon. You see what I'm in Enter the Dragon. That was a damn ritual. You see what I'm saying? And this man, and John Saxon in the movie didn't even know no fucking karate. He didn't even take karate until 3 years later. You see, 3 years later, and he gets to live. The white man gets to live. You see, did anybody see this badass cinema thing that came on IFC, the other independent film corporation? Where and your boy, I recorded the thing, and where Fred Williams said he went, when he went, after they phased him out of the so-called black exploitation thing, and he went to Hollywood and said, they said, oh, we'll put you in some movies. You did enough movies in the black exploitation, we'll put you in some movies. He said, no, two things gotta happen. I can't die in the movie, and I got to get it, and I got to leave with the woman. You see what I'm saying? You see, that's the same basic hero shit as James Bond. You see what I'm saying? You know, they was like, no, that's okay. We can't allow that. So we're still talking about a psychological conditioning of destroying the people based on the image. You see, based on the image. So this thing here that we're seeing right here is textbook Cold Warfare. You see what I'm saying? Where all the so-called significant people bites the dust, either by apologizing and saying they've changed. You see what I'm saying? Or even getting killed. That's Cold Warfare. Just no different than with the whole thing with your boy from Black Panther Party getting shot in 89. Huey P. Newton. It's all a part of this, but it drills its way into the psyche. It's no different than taking Malcolm X and making him a national hero. You understand what I'm saying? Like fucking Daniel Boone. This motherfucker on the level of a Daniel Boone or some Davy Crockett shit now. You understand what I'm saying? Based on some misunderstanding. So, based on some misunderstanding. You see, so this is one of the keys. This is one of the keys on how you do this thing and all. It's cold warfare and it's mental genocide. And he was down with that. Now, two things might happen. They might have that nigga on some island somewhere, because you never know what happens when a nigga go to jail. Or it might be 2 years from now, it gets repealed or appealed, but still yet, you saw him go down. You saw him with his head down in the ground. This is supposed to be Osiris. This is supposed to be the pyramid builder, and he running from the damn cops, and he all down and stuff here, punking out, pleading guilty. My point is, if you supposed to be the God of the universe, if you go in the war, what the fuck you gonna plead guilty for? Listen, let's get this motherfucker on. True. If you got some damn juice, when the cracker come at you and stuff, now it's time to show what the hell you got. Yeah.
Yeah.
What the hell you gonna plead guilty? That's an indictment.
Right.
To say I'm gonna plead guilty with a vicious system like this.
Right.
I plead guilty. You see what I'm saying? 2 motherfucking murderers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't give a damn if he fuck 4-year-olds. like your boy said, Paul Mooney, they can find me in the house with an 8-year-old boy naked. I still don't go to court and say I didn't do shit. You know what I'm saying? Against this cracker?
Right.
All the shit he has done?
Right.
They talking about the Cold War, they talking about they got 6,000 people documented that they hung in the Cold War era between 1865 and 1965, and another 6,000 is missing. Now you know those are very low numbers. You know what I'm saying? Especially on the missing thing. That's the key, especially on the missing thing. And all of a sudden, American Experience start running shows about things that happened in the 20th century. They didn't do it during the 20th century. So the Hemmitt story came out last week. It was an excellent story. And all. But then last year they did Marcus Garvey. But remember now, this is, you know, first of all, they already know that they can do it now because they understand that the minds of black people are destroyed. You understand? They know we're just not going to do nothing. You understand what I'm saying? We're not going to do shit. So they already know that now, that they have put on lockdown and destroyed most of the people that would make an actual difference. You see, that would make an actual difference. So the point I'm trying to make here is, it's just like the Hemmitt story, which is very key because I believe it's some Osirian shit that went on with that. One of the keys in that is his father died in 1945. He got killed in 1955. It's always a cycle. The father had a signet ring that they gave to him, and that's what they later on identified with him. But it's always a lake involved. That's the whole Osirian thing, getting killed and thrown in the river. You see what I'm saying? And the signet ring, that's key because if you study the Jason and the Argonauts, when his father is killed, he's avenged when he's given the signet ring of the father. It's all classic mythology. This stuff actually happened. Down to the mother rescuing him in the aspect of rescuing black people by putting him on display. You see what I'm saying? For everybody to see. And in actuality, that's what started the so-called quote-unquote civil rights movement. You see what I'm saying? So, but they would put this thing out now because they understand that was last century. And if they tell you that's last century, people start thinking that way.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So the first thing they will say is, you know, that was last century, man, but you still worrying about that shit.
Right.
You know, that's 3 years ago. We got niggas locked up 10, 15, 20 years. They had a thing on the A&E. A thing on A&E, which also gives this question of what I call so we need to quit celebrating so-called quote-unquote black achievement. Now here it is on A&E, they got 2 men did 30 years for armed robbery. The black guy did 33 years. The white boy did 30 years. In the armed robbery, somebody got killed. Well, armed robbery is only 7 years, period. You see what I'm saying? And it's been that way for years. So he did 30 years for armed robbery. Then this appeals board come up. They let the white boy go. They let the black guy stay. Now, it's not necessarily, we're not arguing about white people pathology towards us. He got in there, he got a little frustrated up in the meeting and stuff, you know. They said, well, that's enough. We see some violent tendencies. We're going to knock him back down. It's not even a matter of trying to convince white people that we are saying, trying to convince white people against xenophobia or whatever thing that's fucked up in their head. It ain't got nothing to do with white people. It was the black man that was sitting up in there. When the guy got there with the letter back, he said, hell, all of them voted against me to go back to prison. Now here's a black man should automatically know because a black man gets a little frustrated in a meeting don't mean he's a killer. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Don't
mean he's a doggone killer. But that's what I'm trying to say about black achievement. It has done nothing but turned us into the same mindset as all the other people. It's just like when Amir Baraka was on TV the other night on CNN, and they asked the question. He said, it's better. He said, well, you tell that to your boy Amadou Diallo that got shot 40 sometimes. The first thing the white man said out of his mouth, the next word was there was 2 black jurors that acquitted them cops.
Right.
You see, that's the key here. That's the science in this thing. You see, we don't know that they are always taking this stuff and compiling it, and when the 2 black jurors, the same old so-called quote-unquote upward mobile and the same old quote, just niggas that thinking that we are all Americans, right. When they acquitted that brother, you see what I'm saying? There was no recourse for the simple fact. The first thing he did is threw it back up in their face. Oh, well, the 2 black jurors also let the cops up. You see, so it's the same thing going on. What we're talking about here is a psychological conditioning. And it's the same broken record over and over again. Now here's the other psychological condition. And we must challenge these things. Now everybody knows that what's the name is a government agent. I mean, you go to New York City and the people right there at UAM where Al Sharpton comes up and it shows his ass up there some Wednesdays. Everybody up in there say, well, we all know that motherfucker is a suspect. Now everybody knows that Al Sharpton is a doggone government agent. Even to the point where he tried to get Asada Shakur to come to Miami or to come to Jamaica on an alternative island and have the authorities to arrest her. You see what I'm saying? The key here is, now Steve Coker did a whole indictment of Jesse Jackson with the murder of Martin Luther King, was in on that and all, but he said that when one person is taken down, they got to take the other person, they got to prop another person up. So we know that, first of all, just like the Bill Clinton thing, you don't get caught for sticking your dick in somebody. You understand what I'm saying? That don't happen. Kennedy showed you that shit. You know what I'm saying? And it was known, but it's never known, made public when this person is alive. So for the mere fact that they got your boy, Jesse Jackson, and they caught him with this girl, you remember this whole thing with the black girl, he had to pay all the money. First of all, Jesse Jackson, one of the most dangerous Negroes living.
That's true.
And he's been an excellent government agent. There's no such thing as them catching him, you see what I'm saying, with some woman. That's a part of the clause that has something to do with the doggone Dr. York thing. That we're going to give you wealth and power, and then when it calls for us to come after you and stuff, you got to understand that this is a part of the game. So Jesse Jackson's time to be reeled in with some scandal, that was a part of him living well for all them fucking years and was able to have his hand in on the killing of Martin Luther King.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Well, right.
So now, that whole concept here, you see what I'm saying? But here it is again, because a lot of people believe in Jesse Jackson. You see, we know conscious community, we are trained to look at the alternative. Or we don't believe this stuff because you're trained that way. But the masses of people believe only what's on the TV set. So up until that, Jesse Jackson, and I remember having conversations about stuff that was going on out here in the country, and I've had people go, well man, I don't believe that man, because why didn't Jesse Jackson speak out about it? You know what I'm saying? But this person didn't know because he's only given the concept based on the TV set. You see what I'm saying? So going back to this, they said when one person is set down, there has to be another major agent to take his place. In this case, in this particular case, everybody knew it was Al Sharpton. For next thing you know, he's on all the major TV shows. You know what I'm saying? Politically incorrect. Chris Rock show. He's getting all this airtime. You see what I'm saying? Whereas they got all kind of black leaders and stuff that people don't even know about today. Or black people in the struggle. I don't like the black leader word because that's also too. Only two people in the world that's got black leaders, and that's the people that's considered enemies to the Jews. Black people in this country and the PLO, the Palestinians. Only two people. You don't know of a leader of the Chinese race. You don't know a leader of even the Puerto Rican. What is the Puerto Rican leader name? What is the Eskimo leader name? There's only two people that's got leaders. Black people and the people in Palestine. The Palestinians. You see, so you know that Arafat is the leader of the Palestinian people. And that's because he's in direct conflict with Jews. And anytime you come in direct conflict with Jews, that's what they do. They give you a leader to undermine you. Because what happens here is when you give people a leader, and the people are defined by leaders, when that leader is fucked up, the people are defined as being fucked up because of the leader. So they will give you one figurehead. That means that you are a non-people. You see what I'm saying? By giving you a leader. That's the reason why I can't understand why you can go to Phoenix and there's a Martin Luther King street in damn near every city in the country. I mean, the man does not deserve a street in every city of the damn country. And they got white people ain't got streets in the country. And they're gonna kill the world to do this shit here. I mean, it's more than fair, you know, goddamn. We say Native Americans and Africans died for something. At least you get a street named after you and shit. But I'm trying to say, but the whole concept here is to give those people a leader, and it'll make you think that nobody else did anything in history. And then a passive leader at that. You see what I'm saying? When we know that the history is built on black leaders. You see what I'm saying? So that is one of the science to this. Now, dealing with this, if there is a leader that has to be diminished, has to be set down, there has to be another leader to take its place. That's the science. So if there's another leader to take the place, it's this ongoing cycle. In this particular case, they have chosen Reverend Buffont. What's his name? Al Sharpton. First he ran for mayor in 97. Then after running for mayor in 1997, he's now running for president. Now my point here is we must ask the question, why would anybody run for president who can't win? We know it's not a political agenda, but we know that that's a form of science. Remember now, you know the drill is any sister standing up, the brothers give them the seats. You see what I'm saying? You don't want the sisters to haul ass because they ain't have no seats. Any sisters need a seat, we got some. They still got some up in here, but I'm just saying that's the rule. You know that. But anyway, going back. Why would he run for president? It's all a part of the science. So let's break this science down on what's going on, because it's all a part of mental side. Now, Al Sharpton is running for president. Most of you people will be fooled, because when Al Sharpton comes on TV, he is talented enough to not only deal with the issues, but he is talented enough to make sure that what he is dealing with is on a superior level. The man has oratory skills to hold his own. But this is to fool you, because it's not about you understanding what time it is. Now you've got to understand the science on what is going on here. So, is Al Sharpton qualified to be the president? Well, if Bush can be the president, a virtually mental retarded Gilligan, it ends up being the people that everybody's just so think they're so brilliant, but a year before the building blew up, he's Gilligan. We got plenty of chairs here, okay, see. Now, if Bush can be the president, then you know damn well Al Sharpton can be the president. No problem. Because especially we know the president is not even a job that actually runs the country. We know that they have a job just like you got a job. His job is no more different than somebody dropping chicken in church's chicken. He's being told what to do. Now, yeah, you can line it up on the front row. Now, to ask that question, it's not about him being qualified or any black being qualified to run the country. There's a science going down, and you must understand the science on why the white boy has him running for president and how he's able to get back in for president. And that is this. It has nothing to do with black people per se, in the aspect of whether you pick it up or not. But this is the science. This is 2003. Now, all you got to do is just do some research and find out what and how does the white boy dictate race. He dictates race based on hair. This is basically how he dictates race for the last 150 years. They even had the damn Ethiopians as Caucasians. You see this shit in my book? And when they broke it down, they said it was based on the hair. But I know Ethiopians with nappy hair. You know what I'm saying? But the point I'm trying to make here is everything is everything, but it's so subtle so you're not going to be able to pick it up. Now, this is the key. And it's not directed towards you, because you know that Al Sharpton could be brilliant, like any other black person. You know what I'm saying? You get the average nigga off the street and give him opportunity, that motherfucker can surprise your ass. Okay? That ain't no problem. You know what I'm saying? We get pockets of brilliance haphazardly. You know what I'm saying? Every now and then, every other hour, you capable of spitting out some good shit. Of some brilliant things and stuff. Even in your most ignorant ass, or your most ignorant part. Is that a new button on?
No, I'm good.
Okay, good. Alright. So it has nothing to do with his capabilities. What is happening here with Al Sharpton is this. It's a form of the same mental genocide and the world assassination of black people. First of all, they'll say this is 2004, and we want to know the stability of black people. Are they world-class people to take the world stage as determining not only their own destiny, but other people's destinies? Right. So we want to know, what is the mindset of black people in the millennium? You understand what I'm saying? Because for 10 years it's been a disaster. You see what I'm saying? Even down with the government agent John Muhammad shit. And remember I told you the last people, if you wasn't here the last time in December, that we got reports that the same guy who shot Khalid Muhammad in Los Angeles in 1994 was the same guy who trained John Muhammad to shoot. The same guy that shot Khalid at the college in 1994 was the same guy who trained John Muhammad. You see what I'm saying? And trained John Muhammad. As a matter of fact, and so even to that point, whereas we know we talk about some type, not only government agent, we talk about some implants, some clones, or whatever. Right. You see what I'm saying? Because the simple fact here is, even the guy that shot Khalid, they said they beat that guy ass to death. And they said that guy could not even feel it. It was almost like he was a zombie. It was almost like he was in another state. And then the Jews came and paid the guy hospital bill. This is the same guy that trained John Muhammad. So now all of a sudden now, you got this whole mass murder thing. Look at the science, 1993. They put out, what's love got to do with it? Hell, everybody knew Tina Turner got our ass beat years ago. You see what I'm saying? But I was asking myself, well, why would a white man put out a movie on this? It's always based on some type of propaganda. Put it out in 1993. The next year, same Larry Fishburne did Othello, which is the same thing, kicking some crack in the ass. Same time this is going on, the whole OJ thing is going down. And if you don't think it's not related, you see what I'm saying? Then the next year they put out Just Cause, with your boy Blair Underwood. Everything is everything. That's how the science goes. It's so subtle until we can't pick it up anymore, because the simple fact we've gone numb. You see, 30 years ago we would have been on this shit. You see, but we have gone numb and stuff. You see what I'm saying? We don't detect shit no more. You understand what I'm saying? But blatant stuff. You know what I'm saying? Somebody getting drugged down the street in Texas. It takes something like that. But the subtle things, we have become numb and stuff. Right. So we don't detect the subtle things. So now, going back to this particular science, so now you got black mass murderers with the whole John Muhammad thing. You see what I'm saying? And we broke down the biblical term John Muhammad is the same as Elijah Muhammad. You know, we talked about that the last 2 lectures and all of that type of thing. It's a whole science between that. And even with the United States military, when it all came back, the day that he got caught, they said, the Pentagon said that he's a superior shot. Then on Nightline, on Dateline, they came up and said, the military said, well, our branch of the military never trained him. See what I'm saying? So, you know, there's always some shit that's going on. Now, the key here is this. Then you got to understand this whole concept of what is the whole Jamaica connection going down with that. But then again, on the other hand, you got to trace back the Jamaican posse and all this kind of shit here at the turn of the decade, turn of last decade. And that whole shit with the crack thing and all this type of stuff. There's always some things that has something to do with government conspiracy. But we're too subtle to put the pieces together. Now, dealing with this is going to go down with this. The outside community, and not just white people, but our own African brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, brothers and sisters all over, they don't realize now, once one African or one black original person is tagged on the doggone continent, that Chinese, when he see the African from Nigeria or from Kenya, he's going to put him in the same boat. But right now, they don't understand the science between divide and conquer, because the simple fact is they're being buffaloed and swayed by the same bullshit that's going down, because we are the scapegoat, the brothers and sisters right here. You see what I'm saying? Now this is one of the keys on this. So, the question is asked, what is the state of black people in the millennium? We already said that the only 2 people is given world leaders. Only 2 people. Black people in America is given leaders. And the Palestinians. And all of those have a connection with the Jews. In this particular case, with us, it's just plain old jealousy over the legacy of the birthright of the planet. The Jews want to say that they're the chosen people. And when we talk about the is it really? And this is no stuff, this is scientific. It even goes back, it's even prophesied in the Book of the Dead, that there will be a group of people that's trying to destroy the birthright of harvest to the kingdom. It's also in the Jason and the Argonauts. We even got this in world mythology. And the whole concept and all. One book that's Robinson's book, Beginner's Guide to the Apocalypse. A Beginner's Guide to Revelation, Robin Robinson's book. He even pulled the passages out of the Book of the Dead where they talk about there will be a people that's trying to, in this case it's set typhoon in the mythology, trying to say that Horus does not deserve the Osiris's kingdom because we don't know if he's authentic to even be the true heir. You see what I'm saying? Well, now over here, we know that the Israelites who came from Spain are jealous because they know we are the original people, and we are the people that would be suffering to the last days. Not them because they're in a lap of luxury, selling us shit. You know what I'm saying? And we don't have a damn rock or spoke. You see what I'm saying? A pot to piss in a bed to shove the motherfucker under. So the key here is there's a plain jealousy. Because my point here is we already beat down, so why will you keep on probing a stick at a people that's completely destroyed? Because they know something, and they know that the legacy of the world to come is ours, right, and not theirs. That's right. And they can fool the world about them being the Israelites, but they know that they are not the real original people or the real heirs to this thing or the real Hebrews. Right. So they are jealous of that. On the other hand, the Palestinian thing, they give them a leader. Now, going back, so we know if you want to dehumanize the people, you give them a leader, because there's no leader of the Mexican race. Little El Segundo don't even have a goddamn leader. You know what I'm saying? There's no leader. Who is the leader of the Mexican race? You understand what I'm saying? But when you start talking about black leaders, they'll say Farrakhan, Jesse Jackson. Now you got Reverend Buffon, Al Sharpton. You got to understand the science here. So, to break this down, the state of black America's mentality of their worldview is at stake. Whether you are sophisticated world-class people, we know we are. You see what I'm saying? That's questionable. But we know there's some sparks every now and then because we got them and lost our mind recently. But this is at stake. So, you have an election coming up. And no matter how well Al Sharpton conducts himself around the world, he's going to be looked on as a freak because of his fucking hair. Now they want to know what is the psychological conditioning of a person that says he wants to rule the world or be the world leader. At least most of the people in the world think that the president is the world leader. He might not be. We know there's a whole conspiracy behind that. But we know that they call him the leader of the free world, and most people who don't know the science think that this man is the most powerful man on earth. So now look at this. Here's a man that's supposed to be leading others. And other races is looking and saying this man does not even have the psychological aptitude to understand that psychologically he's damaged by still running a motherfucking conch in 2003. You see what I'm saying? Now we understand the whole term thing with the woman, the standard of beauty. We understand that it's a form of oppression. But the male does not have that to do. We are not looked upon by the sisters or nobody else based on our hair being nappy. Hell, we can cut the motherfucker all off now, it don't matter. That's not one of the things that we as males, you see what I'm saying, have to go through when you're comparing the black male's hair and the black female's hair. We're not judged based on our hair. You understand what I'm saying? We can wear the shit any kind of way we want to. Don Kane showed you that shit. You see, and then in the last years we showed them dreads, all kinds of damn, just some motherfuckers that got straight up locks. You see what I'm saying? But the point I'm trying to make here is the male does not have to doggone succumb to pressure based on his hair. So what the fuck is this motherfucker sitting up there at a presidential debate with some dark and lovely in his shit? You don't think this is some psychological stuff, but you might not think it. Because we have known now, you don't understand. The motherfuckers in down Switzerland, the people in Kenya, the people in China, they're looking at this shit and no, wait, is this motherfucker Native American? Is he Indian? Or is that just straight old Alabama nigga up there with some shit in his head? from D.C., D country, L.A., Lower Alabama, what? We know damn well that's some dark and lovely bouncing and behaving shit in his head. But you don't understand. It might sound funny, but the thing about it is this is cold warfare. Mental side. Here's a man that's at a presidential debate trying to say he's serious up against other greasy hair crackers with their own hair. And this motherfucker, he don't even have the gall. They say, well, maybe that might be if he just put the shit and cropped it like most white men wear this shit. Most presidents of Canada wear a cropped little short shit. No, he got his shit long and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like he Elizabeth Taylor some kind of goddamn shit. Now, no, see, it's subtle. Nobody, and when they address it, the white people are not even they're going to deal with him on the issue. And in people's mind, they're going to say, now look, first of all, they're going to say, well, here it is again. That's a leader attributed to the black race. And it shows the aptitude and the mental stability of black people based on his hair. So what it is he has let somebody, because he's an agent, you see what I'm saying, parade him as a freak. You see what I'm saying? I can see, now he said, if James Brown was your mentor, you would wear your hair like this way. Now hold on now. James Brown, first of all, is one of the greatest entertainers and a genius based on entertainment. But James Brown is by no fault an intellectual to lead you to a goddamn out that front door. So now we need to get our shit straight. And James Brown is of an era when all the motherfuckers were doing that shit. But even they stepped to James Brown in them in the late 70s and told him to take that shit out their head. And he wore the afro for a minute. So I'm trying to say, what is your fucking excuse when you come up and you become prominent when all this black hair is doggone available? You see what I'm saying? So the point I'm trying to make here is, he's saying that James Brown is your doggone hero. You would do this too. Not necessarily so. You know what I'm saying? James Brown looked like I said, like Richard, what's your boy Paul Mooney said, James Brown looked like an old black Chinese woman now. You see what I'm saying? The point I'm trying to make here is, James Brown is not running for fucking president. And we already know the entertainment industry, even white motherfuckers do crazy shit. You know, that's the entertainment industry. We'll give them that. You understand what I'm saying? But not running for president. And we want to know, what is his psychological excuse? You see what I'm saying? Of being a sick motherfucker. And that's all a part of why the government got him running for president. And it's all a part of the same thing. Trying to destroy the image of black people. So this ploy that happened the other day with your boy, Dr. York. You understand what I'm saying? Dr. York, that's all a part of the bullshit. You see what I'm saying? When he pleaded guilty, he destabilized a whole community of black people who was following him and other black people that needed an image for a person that built those particular pyramids out there like that. You see what I'm saying? And no one pleads guilty. You see what I'm saying? Especially a black leader. This is the first one in history to say, I'm not a political prisoner. You see what I'm saying? Political prisoner can keep you alive. Ask who will. Although they say it's one Jewish woman making all the money, every time you damn march for him, it's a Jew woman getting paid. And all that kind of stuff here. But the point I'm trying to make here is, that's a part of the government plan. Let me give you some other science. Back in 98 or 99, all you got to do is do the science on it. They had a show come out called Third Watch. It's on the A&E now. And Third Watch is a show that was a collaboration on the streets between police officers and firefighters. This was a precursor to the doggone Twin Tower shit, where the people that was on focus as far as the people that everybody mourned was police officers and firefighters. The Third Watch, they always train you before they bring some shit out. You see, very key. Very key. The Third Watch is a part of it. It's just like it's just like in the early 1990s, white people start saying that the pharmaceutical industry was bullshit and the herbs, they started getting into the herbs, the homeopathology, the homeopathic, all of your basic alternative healing. And it was real big amongst the white community. So they said that basically we have the whole concept of the doctor being the God, being the person, is gotten away from doggone white people. So therefore, they came about and they put the Thursday night show on ER with George Clooney and all of that, and then Chicago Hope. And they kept those going and all, and they would run that show. Oh, that show ain't that goddamn good. You see what I'm saying? But they know what they can keep on and what they can take off. But they keep pumping this particular show with all these young people, and all of a sudden it's hip. You see what I'm saying? To be a doctor again. And this is a psychological aspect of some doggone training that they can do to get people to trust the doctors again. They do this stuff all the time. You know what I'm saying? You know, like, so all of a sudden the police, since when did you see a noble ass police officer? Especially the black ones, they're like goddamn zombies and shit. I'm like, does this motherfucker breathe? Got the damn personality of a fucking anteater. You see what I'm saying? But out on TV, they're the most noble thing, they're Jesus Christ. So you got to understand how the psychological conditioning is doing. So like I said, the ER show with the doctor thing came out to get people to trust in their doctors in. You see what I'm saying? Because they all understood that those particular people were getting away from that. And then all of a sudden, what they started doing, they started coming on these shows like 2020 and 60 Minutes, and they started downing the herbal thing. Well, you know, somebody took some ginkgo biloba and almost died. Like, what you doing? You know, so they started doing this type of stuff. And so now all of a sudden and then the next thing, you know, herbal people, they got to put dietary supplement on everything. They can't even tell you. It got so bad, 7 on one time, they said, well, you got to go to the book and read what the shit is. We can't tell you what the shit is for. Because they're under scrutiny. You see what I'm saying? So that's the science behind how they do these things. You got to understand. You got to understand. Which leads us to this other thing. Which leads us to this other thing we're going to get into in a few minutes. But I want to deal with a couple things right now that's at hand. And that is this. We know, you know, they got some show. I want to post a couple things. I don't want to get the right thing, because I want people, what we need to do is we need to retrieve a lot of videos and a lot of things like that. So I want people to go out and somehow we need to find this. And when somebody find this stuff, somebody needs to get in touch with some people in the conscious community. Anybody seen this thing on Black? It's a movie that came out in 1996 called and something, Power to the People. It's a movie on black political prisoners. Anyway, this, all power to the people. The people from the 60s and all this, and they have like a Native American, they just locked down, been on lockdown for 30 years and didn't do shit. And it's called All Power to the People. I'm just trying to say, is it in Blockbuster or anything? Can you rent it or something? Oh, you might have it? Okay, then that's why I asked this stuff. We need to retrieve that particular movie. All Power to the People. It's on black political prisoners. And they showed it on the True Story program they got. You know how it is. The more channels you get, the more you find out ain't shit on TV. Yeah. But True Story is the show that one night and all, because I turned to it in the middle and I couldn't record it. But about black political prisoners and political prisoners, period. And they were saying how America don't want to own up to it, but they got tons of political prisoners, including white boys. You see what I'm saying? Including white boys. But it's called All Power to the People. And we trying to, like you said, you got a good copy?
I might still have it.
Oh, you might, like I said, it came out in 1996. I know up in New York, they got places you can go and get all this stuff. You see what I'm saying? Just like the best slave movie that ever came out. What's that movie? Uncle Tom?
Goodbye, Uncle Tom.
73 movie. What's that? Goodbye, Uncle Tom. You know, that every country in the world was able to see except black people here in this country and stuff. And it's in every language. Goodbye, Uncle Tom. We got a few copies of that. We got a few copies of that also. But I want to say that. But I want to get into something, some other research that I found out. Dick Gregory said under the Freedom of Information Act that the American government has been giving Castro hundreds of millions of dollars a year since damn 1960. When was the revolution? 60 or 59? 59, 60, whatever. They've been giving him hundreds of millions of dollars a year, Castro. Castro. And I often wondered why is it that they could be best friends with Russia and Khrushchev and all. And even the Iron Curtain is gone now, but yet they still got sanctions on Cuba. Okay? Now, let's do the science on this, because you got to understand the magical aspect. Now, you know that they just did, remember in 2001 with the Disney Atlantis thing came out, and they went and did the excavation down there, and they found out that Cuba was a part of Atlantis. Now this is not far-fetched, because the simple fact is Kenneth Grant, because he's out of England, had done some stuff and come to find out that Haiti is a leftover part of this mysterious pre-civilized ancient civilization. Pre-civilization, I say prehistory because we say prehistory, that's what the white boy calls it. How can you be prehistory? But they're talking about something that's so advanced in what they call history, the same thing. But even Haiti, even parts of South Carolina is mystical, and including Atlanta, where the whole thing sits on a big slab of rock. If you don't think it's the same Stone Mountain, we know Stone Mountain is, that's just a peak that peeks out of the ground. But this whole thing is underground. If you don't understand this, go to the Peachtree Center Station. Anybody been to the Peachtree Center Station? Yeah. Y'all motherfuckers don't ride MARTA. You don't know it's a MARTA thing. You don't understand. Go down to the Peachtree Center Station and pay your $1 and $1.50, $1.75 and go there, and you'll see the granite. You'll see what Atlanta is made out of. You see what I'm saying? And like the Rosicrucians said, that the only place that the capstone of the Great Pyramid is found in Stone Mountain, Georgia. The granite on the capstone of the Great Pyramid. So we know that this is a safe haven, as well as Muhammad said, when it all jumps off, it's going to jump off from Atlanta. You see what I'm saying? But they say when the black man in the South stands up, you know it's all over. You see what I'm saying? So it's not by accident that things go on, and it's not by accident that you can go out to Decatur and it feels so good. Just go downtown Decatur and just feel the sereneness of it. And then you come to the West End and shit like that, just some fucked up energy. All in this damn area. And all downtown. That's not by accident. That's not by accident, based on whatever they got, become heart, some electromagnetic rays or whatever kind of stuff here. There's some fucked up shit going on in the black community. But I just tell you, just go downtown Decatur. I was down there one day sitting there, I'm like, man, this shit seems like another damn dimension. It's quiet, peaceful, serene, and it's a town, you really got people, but they got this stuff set up. You see what I'm saying? You go up in Buckhead, certain places, it's cool like that. You see, so they got certain things on lockdown based on the energy. And it's not by mistake that this thing is flanking a big graveyard over here. You see, but it's all good, because all of the real deal people always live in the desert. That's very key. Understand the desert concept. You see what I'm saying? The desert is key, which goes into what I'm talking about here. Now try to understand this. Cuba, Havana, the 1950s Havana, which is how many miles from Miami? 90-something miles. They had gambling, prostitution, every kind of vice you want to name. They also had, they had one thing that Vegas didn't have, because Vegas got gambling, prostitution, and all those things. Havana, Cuba had all that, but Havana, Cuba also had what Vegas did not have, and that was the magic. Try to understand the science. So they had to put a president up in there, this whole revolutionary thing, and all he did, he locked down Havana, Cuba. A mystical part that's only 90 miles from Miami, that was a key. You see what I'm saying? Havana, Cuba had to be locked down because Havana, Cuba had, not only did it have the vice, because the vice is all good, that's called the Bacchanalian realm. That's what they're trying to keep back. I'll show you that even in Walter F. Otto's book on Dionysus and all. That particular aspect. The vice, as far as all of the stuff, is the playroom of the gods. They had all that, but they had the magic. 3 different strings they had Europa, Santeria, and Palo, which was the key. Now, Vegas didn't have any of this. Now the key here is this. And they had black people up in the middle of this shit. You go to Vegas, it's all white. You see what I'm saying? So one of the keys here is, they just started opening up Cuba. And the government said, well look, we got to open this thing up. Maybe we might need a stronghold to somehow save us. A lot of interesting things is happening right now. So they started opening up Cuba again. All of a sudden, when they started opening up Cuba, certain materials are able to come out. And some of the information was that some of the people right, they said in the late 1950s and the 1960s, all we heard all over Cuba was Palo. Palo. Palo in the morning. Palo at night. Palo in the afternoon. Palo is the darkest form, or the most powerful form of the African traditional religions, or African traditional systems of what they call the Congo rite. The Congo rite. And so many words based on the apparatus of the Yoruba, and a lot of them, over the years, they got rid of the underworld side, which is the key, because the underworld side, it's called the back of the tree of life, will be that which will be in the future.